Hello, good day everyone. We will be continuing our discussion on economics. We will proceed to chapter 2. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Ayan. Ayan, I hope everyone can see my screen. Alright, sige. Okay, so our chapter 2 is the central concepts of economics. No? So we will dive further on the concept of scarcity and how can we manage scarcity. Okay, so the central concepts of economics. Ayan, economics is a social science that deals with the efficient allocation of scarce resources. No? It is something that we have been discussing since the first meeting, chapter 1. It is always about the decision making on how to maximize scarce resources. Why? In order to satisfy our unlimited wants and needs. Okay? As our population grows, there are more consumers, meaning there are more people who will use resources. That is why it is considered as unlimited wants and resources. Okay, let me just check something. All right, sige. Let's continue. There seems to be a disparity between scarce or limited resources against unlimited wants and needs. So here are some questions that we should ask ourselves. Now, how do we reconcile something limited against something unlimited? Diba? These two concepts are conflicting. Limited resources, unlimited needs and wants. Second question is how do we make do with something finite against something infinite? Same, diba? Limited resources, infinite wants and needs. So we will now try to review the concept of scarcity. So what is scarcity? It is the limited availability of a commodity which may be in demand in the market. No? A scarce resource. So if you remember our discussion with the factors of production, but we have three main or traditional resources being used in a business. Namely, if you remember, we have human resource, again, which is very limited. Uh, uh, what do you call this again? The resources found in nature, natural resources. And again, it is limited. And the third is your financial resources, which is also limited. All of those three resources are to be considered as scarce resource. So scarcity requires a great need for economics to be studied by everyone. So it is not only limited to economy majors or even business majors, or even let's say hospitality majors. It is not limited to those courses. It is for everyone. It should be studied by everyone. The choices we make on the use of scarce resources largely determine what needs and wants we would be satisfying and how much satisfaction would we get. Okay? Ayan. What people also have to realize nowadays is not only that the world is getting bigger in terms of relative distance, but it is also not adding resources to what we currently have. Now, the problem especially when it comes to natural resources, our consumption is faster than the recovery of natural resources. Isang example pa lang natin is trees. Di ba? Ang puno. It would only take minutes to cut down one fully grown tree, but it would take years to plant a tree at tumubo siya dun sa pagiging fully grown tree. Di ba? The consumption is faster than the recovery or replenishment of resources. Although the world may still be able to sustain our current needs and wants, what will happen when we add another billion people in the next 15 years or the next 30 years? Because our rate of multiplying, and these people would be eventually using resources. They have their needs and wants. What will happen to our current available resources? That's why, again, we must study economics because there is a need for the proper usage of these resources. Ayan. I'll give you ano dito, a simple graph no, para makita nyo the human population through the history and in the coming years. Tignan nyo. So in 1950, in 1350, ayan, we only have 300 million. In 1700s, naging 600 million. 1800s, 900 million. In the 1900s, have already reached yung population na billion. In 1950, 1985, and in 2020 last year, we have already reached 8 billion people, no, around the world. And it is continuously increasing. No? Yeah. So the question is, no, where do we get the resources to sustain all these people? Diba? Even if we have ways, diba, to try to increase, to multiply the resources, the consumption is still greater than the replenishment of resources. So there is really a problem when it comes to scarce resources. Ayan. The reality of the matter is that population keeps growing as do humans' wants and needs, and yet resources remain to be limited. Ito again another visualization, no, para makita nyo yung grasp na our resources is very limited. Green is the dark green represents all resources, and the light green naman is the resources being demand. So in 20, actually we are already experiencing right now that our demand is greater than the resources available. That's why in 2000, yeah, nag-light green na siya. Yan. Nag-light green na siya. Okay? Hmm. Scarcity is an issue that's not only pertain to resources that are used to produce goods and services, but other resources as well, tulad ng financial resources, budget, di ba, for microeconomics, individual consumers sa atin. Ayan, we have limited budgets. Sometimes hindi pa kasya with all the expenses. Employment is also scarce. For some countries such as New Zealand, na the population of cows is more than the population of people, there is a really need for human resources there. Human manpower there. Kaya in demand lagi ang hiring sa New Zealand and many more other resources. Scarcity remains to be a fact of everyday life, making economics a necessary body of knowledge that everybody should be able to learn, which includes you. No, this is why there's a need to economize. No, I like this term, economize whatever resource we have. Diba? If you have a baon of 100 pesos per day, you need to economize that money. Diba? So you can manage all expenses and you still have enough for savings. Okay? Economize. Ayan. This activity, I will post it later. Ayan, sa ating Google Classroom. Anyway, this is a very, very easy assignment. Ayan. So let's now go to the production possibilities curve and frontier. Okay? Or your PPC. Now, a PPC is a graph which depicts the concept of opportunity cost by showing production trade-offs between two goods in hypothetical economy. Now, this is very useful tool, no, for business owners or even farmers. Later on, we will have an example. No? The combination of these production possibilities when written down on a table is called as the PPS or production possibilities schedule with the following assumptions. Okay. The economy is working at maximum efficiency. So we are producing the maximum possible units of products. There are only two goods in an economy, very effective if only used, if we only compare two goods. The same resources are being used in the production of these goods. For example, if you are a farmer, you have one land and you can produce two types of crops. Ayan. Resources and technology are fixed as we are using the same amount of effort, the same amount of technology, the same amount of resources. Ayan. So, ang purpose nitong PPC or PPS, ayan, if we have two products using the same resources, what is the optimal level or amount of each product to be produced? Okay, so we could gain the best benefit or the best return. Ayan yung ating PPC. Okay. Now, to give you a visualization, no, let's have a simple activity on how PPC and PPF work. Ayan. Let's say I have, ano dito? Ayan, mag-aaltab ako. Okay. Ayan. Let's say I am a farmer. Ayan. I have a lot, meron akong sakahan. Ayan. Meron akong pwedeng pagtaniman. I have now to option to either plant potato or carrots. Okay. Now the question is, how many seeds or how many carrots will I produce or how many uh, potato will I produce no, to maximize my scarce resource? Ano yung scarce resource ko dito? Which is the land, yung lupa. Hindi naman natin pwede extend ang lupa so I can increase, di ba, yung aking tataniman. It is limited. So now my decision making is how many potato, how many carrots should I produce? Okay? Ayan. So let's say I have different combinations, yung A, B, C until N. Ito yung combinations of potato or carrots. For combination A, I can produce 205 sacks of potato, 0 carrots. Yan yung isang possible combination. Or let's say sa E, 179 sacks of potato and 40 sacks of carrots. Or N, dito sa N, I will not produce any potato, pero I can produce 130 sacks of carrots. So these are the possible combinations that I can do with my limited lot or limited farming, limited farm. Ayan. Limited lupa. Okay. Ayan. So let's have some questions. Okay. Dito tayo sa PowerPoint. Ayan. First is, let's try to plot. No? Let's try to see yung frontier or yung curve. Diba? Kasi there should be a curve. I'm sure naman you know how to plot no, in a Cartesian plane. Diba? X-axis and Y-axis. Okay. Usually, ano ba ang Cartesian plane? Oh, mag-ano tayo dito. Okay. Cartesian plane. I'll show you a sample of a Cartesian plane. Okay. Ayan. Or do I need to? Ay, pakita natin. Just a ano lang. Just a recap no? Or reminder or refresher. Ano ba sir ang itsura ng Cartesian plane? So na yung open image in YouTube. Okay. Ayan. This is a simple Cartesian plane. Diba? We have the x-axis and the y-axis. So we will plot. Okay. Let's try to plot. No? X-axis, y-axis. Ayan. Okay. That's why I am requiring you to buy rin your graphing papers no? Kasi it's easier to graph no? If you have manually graph if you have your graphing paper. But for this session, I will teach you on how to graph a Cartesian plane into a Cartesian plane using Microsoft Excel. Now our goal is ito, papakita ko na. This is the graph. No? Ayan. So nakikita nyo na yung curve. Ayan. So sir, paano mo graph yan? Simply, di ba? X-axis. Ayan, dito. Nandito si potato. And y-axis. For example, itong A, ayan, 205 sa X, 0 sa Y. So nandito siya. 205. And isa-isa mo siyang ipa-plot. I'm sure you know how to do this. Pero let me show you how to do this using Excel. Okay. So, the first thing you have to do is to highlight the data. Ayan. Dito natin highlight natin si X. Highlight natin si Y. Okay? Then you go to insert. Ayan. Then scatter graph. Okay? We always use scatter graph no, when we plot X and Y or when we are trying to use a Cartesian plane. So you have options here. What we want to use is yung merong lines. Okay? Okay? We can use yung smooth lines or yung straight lines. Pero since we are trying to see, di ba, the curve, there should be a curve. Let's try to use smooth lines. Ayan. As you can see, ayan, automatic siyang mag-graph. Okay? Automatic na siyang mag-graph. Okay. Now, we have to check no, kung tama yung ating data. Sir, how can I know if tama ba yung X and Y? So, we can right-click yung chart title natin. Then, we go to select data. Just to confirm if the data is correct. Ayan. So, yan, we have the X values or the Y values. Let's just check. X values, ito yung area, we highlight yung mga nasa X. Ayan. From 205 to 0. Then just click enter. For Y values naman, highlight natin si Y. 0 to 130. Okay. I always double check yung values ng X and Y. No? Kasi sometimes si Excel nalilito. Sometimes ibang area yung nakukuha niya. That is why we must always check kung tama ba yung values na kanyang kinuha. For the chart title, we can just click. Yan. I-click natin si product combination. Okay. Then if you are happy now with the data, just click OK. Ayan. So this is now your graph. No? Ay sir, pwede palang mag-graph sa Excel. Can we use Excel na lang? Okay. Yes, actually I will allow no, for the future activities. I will allow you to use Excel kasi it is much more efficient. No? Just just follow the process no tulad ng sinabi ginawa ko kanina. Just follow the process on how to do yung graphing using Excel. Okay. Ayan, so we now have our graph no with the carrots and potato. Ayan. Again, potato is on the x-axis while carrots is on the y-axis. Now we now see the curve. Ayan yung curve. Okay? So let's try to interpret no, this curve by answering some questions. Okay? Ayan. Let's try to answer questions. Wait. Lagi ko lang yung mukha ko sa baba. Okay? Kasi I am a farmer. Ito yung dilemma ng isang farmer. No? What would be the right combination no, of producing the carrots and potato so I could experience or I will get the highest yield or highest return? Which is something na I believe all farmers should do para hindi masyadong nasasayang na vegetables. Okay, so let's try to answer these questions. Okay, first question, sabi dito, at what production point does the farmer maximize the use of his land in the production of potato? And what is the yield at this point? Okay, let's say that the demand is potato. Nasa patatas ang demand. Wala masyado for carrots. So, what is the combination? Simply, syempre dun tayo sa highest possible na pag-produce ng carrots, ay ng potato, which is 205. Ayan o. Which is combination A. If you will go here, di ba, ito yung highest yield of potato is combination A. We will produce 205 sacks of potato. Okay, nandito siya. So my decision is nandito. Alright, so we have answered already the first question. Production point, A. Yield of potato, 205. Yield of carrot is 0. So, the farmer has now an idea kung ilan ba ang kailangan niyang i-produce. Alright. Dito tayo sa second question. Excuse me. At what production point does the farmer maximize the use of his land for carrots? Let's say the demand now is on carrots. The question is, how much sacks of carrots should I produce? No? Let's go back again. Siyempre, dapat 0 si potato dahil ang demand is nasa carrots. Ang production ko naman is 130. So, nandito siya sa, going back here, nandito siya sa combination N. Diba? To maximize the production of carrots. 0 sacks of potato, 130 sacks of carrots. Ayan. Production point, N, 0, 130. Okay, di ba very simple? Actually, the concept is very simple. Just knowing what is the correct combination of combination of two products to produce to have the highest yield. Ayan. O, dito naman, we have a question here. Sabi dito, at what production point does a farmer experience the equal amount of, sorry, palitan natin, of potato and carrots? Ayan. Ito na yung question. Let's say that the demand meron sa carrots, meron sa potato. At what production point can we experience yung equal amount? Okay. Now, in choosing the graph, di ba, siyempre, we find yung equivalent value. Or the point where it is the nearest point here. Ito yung maximum kasi, maximum efficiency for both products. Ano ba yung point na pinaka malapit dito? This one. Okay. Even if you measure, if you try to measure itong mga to, ayan, ito yung maximum level that we can produce the highest amount possible for both products. It is 100 and 100. So anong point siya dun sa ating graph or schedule? It is, yeah, it is K. 100 sacks of potato and 100 sacks of carrots. Okay? Again, ang purpose nito is the highest possible amount of sacks of potato and carrots to be produced using my limited land. Ayan, 100 potato, 100 carrots. So if we answer this, production point is K. Yield of potato, 100 sacks. And yield of carrot is 100 sacks. Okay? Ayan. Alright. So did you did you understand itong ating PPC? No? Ayan, yung curve natin, kitang-kita. This is based, sir, saan niya nakita yung yung mga values na to? It is the possible combinations. Siyempre, limited square meters lang naman yung kanyang lupa. So here is the possible lang na pwede niyang itanim. Okay? Siyempre, alam niya ng farmer kasi nasukat na niya yung kanyang land. Alright? So, given the tables, what is now our observations? Now, let's try to interpret. No? It is based on the demand of the product. No? Ayan, if the demand now is potato, diba? Let's maximize our land by planting potato, which is yung ating product combination A. And for kung carrots naman ang demand, syempre let's use product N. Okay? But if both products is may demand and we are trying to maximize, diba, our land so that we can produce the highest possible amount of each product, dun tayo sa pinaka-middle. Okay? This is the highest possible na pwede nating i-produce in using yung two products natin. Okay? This is how we maximize. But if you are given a chance to plant just one type of product, let's say that they have same amount or same price, di ba? We will choose potato kasi we can produce 205, which is larger than sa 130. Okay? Ayan. So that is one way of interpreting itong ating PPF or PPC. Okay? At least now we have a general idea, no, on how we can maximize our limited resources. Ayan. This is something we are trying to teach din sa ating mga local farmers. Pero kasi, syempre, if you are you do not have any background about economics, kung titignan mo to, di ba, parang nakakatakot. Ano yan? Ba't may numbers? Bakit may graph? Pero once you understood the concept, you can really use this for decision making. Ayan. Okay. Alright. So let's continue with our PowerPoint. Okay. Now the graph shows the maximum units of combined goods that may be produced. Any production point below on the curve is normally possible. This curve is called as the production possibilities curve or PPC. The curve allows the economist to see the necessary trade-off to transform one good into the other in terms of units that needs to be foregone. Okay? yung trade-off natin. So if we will go back dito, makikita natin yung trade-off. Okay? If I will produce, let's say dito tayo sa E. If I will produce 179 sacks of potato, I can only produce 40 sacks of carrot. Yun yung trade-off. Or, dito sa product combination M, if I will produce 120 sacks of carrots, I can only produce 50 sacks of potato. There's always a trade-off. Okay? And going back here, the PPF, although represented in the same graph of the PPC, is not the same with PPC. The PPF encompasses all production possibilities in a given economy, which means all pins in the graph below, on and above the PPC, should be considered in the PPF. That is why it's called as a frontier, up to where production is possible, even if extraordinarily done. So if going back here, ano ba yung frontier? Okay? It is the areas dito. Okay? This one is the maximum we can do. Pero we can still produce under here. Sir, pwede ba tayo mag-produce ng 40 sacks of carrots and 50 sacks of potato? Definitely yes. Itong area na to, any point in this area. Pero syempre, if we want to maximize our production, we must produce dito sa area na to, which is the curve. Okay? Ayan. If we will try to produce, balik tayo kanina, sir, gusto ko lang mag-produce ng 20 sacks of carrots and 50 sacks of potato. Yes. Pero, wasted resources na yun nandito sa taas. Wasted resources. Kasi hindi mo na-maximize. Sir, what if gusto ko mag-produce ng 250 potato tas 140 carrots dito? Is it possible? No. Kasi you do not have the available lot or land or available resources to produce that. Kung dito ka naman sa above. Okay, nakita nyo na? Pag dito ako gumawa, you are not maximizing, di ba, your resources. Pag dito naman, it is not possible because you have limited resources. Okay, I hope that is clear, no? Okay. Opportunity cost or the trade-off. Ito na, the computed value of the next best alternative is given up when a choice is made given a set of choices. It is also known as the opportunity cost or trade-off. Tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, if I will produce this amount of sacks of potato, I can only produce this amount of sacks of carrots. Yun yung trade-off or cost, opportunity cost. It may also be understood as the cost of a resource measured by a value of a next best alternative to use that resource. As more and more units of one good has been decided to be produced, more and more units of the other units of one good have to be sacrificed. It is known as the law of increasing opportunity cost. No, tingnan lang uli natin. No? Balikan natin yung law of increasing opportunity cost. Ayan, para maintindihan niyo. Okay. Tingnan niyo ito. As we increase the sacks of carrots, the sacks of potato that we can produce is also decreasing. Okay? Pag nag-zero siya, dun pa lang natin marireach yung maximum amount of sacks of carrots. Ito na yung ating law of increasing opportunity cost. Same with potato. As we increase the production of potato, the sacks of carrots that we can produce is decreasing. Okay? Trade-off, law of increasing opportunity cost. Okay? Ayan. No? Medyo nakakatakot, sir. Parang hirap intindihan. Di ba tulad ng sinabi ko nung first chapter natin, one of the problem of economics is the terminologies. I am using these terminologies, yung mga possibilities, mga PPC, PPF, etc., etc. Nakakatakot siya pakinggan. Pero when we try to understand the concept, it is something that we are even doing in a daily basis. Tama ba? Ayan. Normalize lang natin siya using economics terms, which is, if we try to analyze, it's not that hard. Okay? Ayan. Alright? Okay, so that's it. No, that's the central concept of economics. It's something that we are going to do all throughout the semester as we move on to the next chapters. Ayan. So, hindi naman siya nakakatakot. Hindi naman siya nakakatakot actually. Ayan. So, okay. So, that's it. That's my topic no for today, which is a relatively short topic lang naman. Okay. So do you have questions? Anyway, this is a pre-recorded video no that kasi holiday nung Monday. So I decided to pre-record this video para our activity na lang for this week, including yung 1C. Yung 1C kasi, I mean yung BSTM1 is naka-schedule siya ng Friday. Ito na rin yung gagawin nyo. Just watch this video. Okay? Also, a requirement. So, to confirm na you have watched no, all throughout the video. Okay? This is one way to know rin kung nanood talaga kayo. After watching this video, kindly comment your name and section to the comment section of YouTube. That is one way for me to know that you have finished this video. I repeat, you comment your name and section in the comment section no ating YouTube video. Okay? So, thank you everyone for watching this video. Have a good day. Goodbye, and I'll see you in our next meeting. Goodbye.